guys, so this is Simply Lovely Vlog, episode 6, and today is Easter Sunday, and since it is Easter, I just wanted to take an episode to kind of just share my gospel and my story and where I stand in my faith and what I think religion means. And I just think this is a really good episode for you guys to listen to because I know it's a really complex subject, like it's something that's really hard to believe because it's something that you can't physically see. And it's also really hard to believe in because there are a lot of believers out there and Christians who are very hypocritical and judgmental, and they say they believe in Jesus, but they live a total opposite life than that. And so I know for unbelievers or people who are trying to be believers, it's confusing. It's confusing to see a generation who say that they believe in Jesus and say that they love Jesus and follow Jesus, but they don't even live up to those standards. And so I just wanted to take some time to kind of maybe help clear some things up for you and hopefully just open your eyes to the glory of Jesus and the unconditional love and all the beautiful grace that he gives us. And hopefully you can try out God again and let him into your life and let him into your heart and watch him work, because it is absolutely the most amazing thing that has ever happened to me. So I'll just go ahead and start. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I grew up in a family that always went to church. Like we went to church every Sunday. It was something that I was used to, but I didn't really have a personal connection to God. It was just something that we did. And so when I started my 8th grade year, I believe it was that September, my dad left. So my mom kicked my dad out, and so my parents split up. And then my mom's boyfriend moved in like a month or two later, and it was just a really hard time for me. I was a big daddy's girl, and so now my dad was gone. My mom had a stranger in our home, and it was hard. It was hard, and I tried to build a relationship with him, and it was good, but it turns out he was totally fake, and he began to manipulate me and emotionally abuse me. And so all my kind of inside hurt and my inside pain started when I was in 8th grade. And then for the next few years, that kind of continued, and my life just seemed to become more difficult, by the day. And so I started having issues in my relationship with my boyfriend, and he, who is now my husband, lied to me often, and I felt really abandoned. I was abandoned by my dad, I was abandoned by my mom, I was abandoned by my stepdad, I was abandoned by my boyfriend. I lost my mother-in-law to cancer, and it was just a mess. It was a mess. My mom made me move schools, so I lost all my friends. I was a cheerleader and I played softball, and I lost all my teammates. So I was in a point in my life to where everything was new, and most of those new things were negative. And so I just felt alone, and I felt abandoned, and even God seemed far at that point. Like I was just hurting. I was hurting inside. I was losing myself to the circumstances around me. And I just got to rock bottom where I was so depressed. I was so sad. I didn't know how to pull myself out of it. No one was there trying to pull me out of it. And I found myself, honestly, I'm just going to be completely honest, and explain to you when God actually captured me. I went to my mom's house on a Saturday and I told her I am moving back in. Like, I had only been married for maybe 2 months, I think. And so they have this law where the first 6 months you're married, I think it is, you can get an annulment, which means if you sign some papers and say you don't want to be married anymore, it won't count as a divorce. So if you look at it in the system, they won't even know you've ever been married. I was going to do that. Like, I couldn't do it. Bruce was lying to me way too much. I had a new baby. I was a senior in high school. I was working an almost full-time job as well, and my bucket was so full. There was so much weight on me. And so I told my mom, I'm like, I'm moving back in, even though I didn't want to move in. Like, I couldn't stand my stepdad, but I just didn't know what to do. I was alone. And so I remember going and talking to her on Saturday and saying, okay, like, I want to move back in. And I was asking for permission. And she said, okay, like, take a day. If you want to move back in, you can move back in. Like, you're welcome to come home. No lie, guys. I went to church the next day, and I don't remember exactly what the message was. I don't know if the message was on marriage or if it was just on, like, faith and trusting in God. But I just remember sitting in that seat, and God told me, just wait. Like, Brooklyn, just be still and know that I am God, and hang in there and wait. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, well, God's speaking to me, like, I'm not going to not listen to him. So I told my mom, I said, I went to church this morning, and God spoke to me, and he said, I need to stay with Bruce. Like, I don't need to move anywhere, and I need to wait on him. And so I did that, and obviously things didn't change right there. It's not like God says to wait on him and the next day, like, everything's peaches and cream. Like, no, it wasn't like that. Bruce was still lying to me, and the world was still crashing around me. Like, I was still having problems with my dad. I was still having problems with my mom and my stepdad. And so life was still happening. Bad things were still happening, but I could feel God doing a work in me. I could feel him changing the inside of me. And so all of my senior year, I had a rough year. I was bitter. I was angry. I was listening to God because God was telling me to stay. But at the same time, I was so mad because I'm like, I don't deserve this. Like, I did nothing wrong to Bruce. Like, why is he continuously lying to me? Like, we have a child together. Why am I not enough? My self-worth was as low as it could have possibly been. I had no self-confidence. I was 100% insecure. I was absolutely depressed. And so I went my whole senior year like that. And I remember after I graduated, finally, I was like, I have got to get myself together. Like, I understand I cannot change what Bruce is doing. I understand I cannot change what my family's doing. I cannot change the world around me. I need to get a grip on myself. God's trying to do something within me, and I'm not allowing him. Like, I was pushing him away. I was not allowing him to bless me in the way that he wanted to, and he was pursuing me. He was trying to bless me, and I wasn't allowing him. And so I started getting to work. And once I started to read my Bible, and I got books on marriage and how to be a better wife, and I pursued this desire that I had within myself to better me, to make me better, to heal my own soul. And I started doing that. And so I just pursued Jesus. I pursued Jesus as much as he was pursuing me. And here I am now. So it all started with my life just a wreck, and I hit rock bottom. No one was there to pick me up. I wasn't strong enough to pick me up. And God spoke to me, and he asked me to wait on him, and then he started stirring up something within me, and I could feel that he was pursuing me, and that he had a plan for me, and he had a purpose for me. And so yeah, so here I am. Me and Bruce, we are wonderful. Obviously, we're married, so we do have our problems, but God is strong within our relationship. And so when we do have problems, we don't handle them in a fleshly manner. We more so handle them biblically and what the Bible says about marriage, and how to communicate, and how to handle arguments and tough situations. And not only that, we parent differently. So Max, he learns scriptures, like he has memorized scriptures at age 3, because God has poured in materials into our life from our church. And so me and him, we watch videos every morning, and we sing worship songs, and we do memory verses with hand movements. And so God has poured into not only our marriage, but the way that we parent our children. And not only that, like he is in our finances. We tithe, and every month we have so much more than I think we make. I'm like, we don't even make this much. Like, how do we still have this much money? It's God. Like, God multiplies. And so we see him everywhere and in everything. And it's because I laid my life down at his feet, and then I pursued him. And guys, that's the answer. So we can't just pray to God and say, okay, Lord, like, I'm giving you my life, do all the work, I'm gonna sit here, everything better be great tomorrow, or I'm not gonna believe in you. And so I think that's kind of how we think God works, is, okay, if I'm gonna be a Christian, God's gonna do what I want. Like, if I pray, he's gonna give me what I want. If a situation's bad, he's gonna fix it. And we still live in the world, you know, we still live regular lives. It's just letting God teach us how to handle things differently. And the Bible's a great place to start. I daily do Bible plans on my YouVersion app, and so they have plans on everything. So if I'm like struggling in my marriage, I type in marriage, and they have plans on that. Or if I'm struggling with self-confidence, I type that in, they have plans on that. Fear, guilt, addiction, love, faith, literally anything that you're struggling with at the moment, they can find you a plan that has to do with that, and you can read scripture on the situations that you're in. And the Bible is legit an instruction manual on how to handle life and all the situations in it. Because being a Christian isn't, okay, my life's going to be perfect. Being a Christian is being given the tools on how to better yourself. That way, when a tough situation comes up, or when a tough person is in your life, you can know how to control the situation. And it's so funny that I'm talking about this, because the last couple weeks I've been talking about control, and how to stop trying to control everything, and learning to more so how to control yourself. That way, when the world does suck, and when people around you suck, you can handle the situations better, because you've equipped yourself with better characteristics, and the fruit of the Spirit, and all the things that I talk to you guys. So to me, that's what being a Christian is. And also, to me, Christianity is not a religion, it's a relationship. So a lot of people are like, why would I want to become a Christian? Like, it's just a book full of rules. Like, I can't wear a certain thing, I can't do certain activities on the weekend, or, you know. And so they look at it as like, well, I don't want more rules, you know, like I want to be my own person, I want to be free, I want to do what I want. And so I'm going to do my best to explain to you why those rules are set in place, and how they can set you free. Not keep you in bondage, but set you free. And it all starts with the fact that Christianity is a relationship, not a religion. And so I'm just going to ask you a question before I kind of get into this. And I want you to like take in this question and really, really think about it. You would change for a man. Why not change for God? So as girls, and I know this will speak to you guys so well. We as women, if we like a guy, oh my gosh, we will change everything about us. They like football, we're going to like football. They don't want us to wear something, we won't wear it. This is their favorite food, oh, it's going to be our favorite food. You know, we're like that. Like, we want guys to like us so much that we will change everything about ourselves to get them to pursue us, get them to like us, get them to want us. And even me and myself, I changed a lot when me and Bruce started dating, to try to fit him, to try to fit his interests, to try to make him more attracted to me and make him want me more and make him only want me. And so I know that you ladies are doing these things. Like, you are doing these things for people. You're doing these things for men. Why is it any different with God? When God asks us to do something, why do we see it as, oh, he's trying to control me. Oh, he's bossy. Oh, he's holding me back. I'm grown. He doesn't want to let me do what I want to do. But yet, if a man asks us to do things, we'll happily do it because we want them to like us. And so why is it we can't do that for God? And I read a book, and I do not even have the book with me, so I'm going to try to just kind of explain it to you by memory. But in the book, the author said that the rules aren't there to restrict us. They're not there to put us in bondage or imprison us. That's not what they're there for. They're there to protect us from bad consequences. And I love it so much because my pastor always says, if you're not having fun sinning, you're not doing it right. And he's absolutely right. Sin is fun. Like, to go out and get drunk, to go out and get high, to be intimate with someone who isn't your husband, or, you know, like, all these things, they're enjoyable. They're enjoyable things. They're things that feel good. They're things that bring peace, or not really peace, but relaxation, or however you want to say it. Like, they're things that you like to do, and a lot of people do them either on the daily or very religiously. Like, they do it very, very often. And so sin is fun, like, and it's something that our flesh desires. As humans, we're born with a sinful nature. Like, it's just kind of in our DNA that we inherit from our parents, because they are humans as well, and they are fleshly. And God has these rules and these instructions for us to keep us away from the bad consequences that sin will bring in our lives. And so if you kind of look at your life, you can see it really well. So like I have a family who does drugs. Like, a lot of people in my family are drug addicts or alcoholics, and through that I've seen so much pain and so much regret and so much hurt, because although drugs are fun and they numb you for a moment, you're not very smart when you do drugs, and also the pain always returns once you're not high anymore. So then you go and get high again to try to numb it. You mess up while you're high again, and then you come off the high and you reap the consequences of what you did when you were high. And it's the same when you're drunk. And so, like, I've been a victim of things like that in my past. And it's not even me doing drugs, it's someone around me doing drugs, and yet I've felt the pain of it. And I've seen the bad consequences that come with that type of sin. And also with intimacy outside of marriage. I got pregnant when I was in high school, and I reaped the consequences of that. I had my son and 2 weeks later started my senior year of high school. And I struggled. I was in a relationship with the father of my son who just constantly lied and was unfaithful to me. And on top of that, I was going to high school full time from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then from 3:30 to 8:30, I was at work. I would go home. I would try to be a mom. I would try to be a wife. And at the same time, I would have homework to do. I'd have a house to clean. And I'd wake up every morning and I'd do the same thing. So because I was intimate outside of marriage, I got pregnant and complicated my life far more than it should have been. Like, I should have been able to be a senior. I should have been able to play high school soccer and, maybe have got to go play college soccer. And so because I didn't listen to Jesus, I see the consequences that came with my sin. And although it was fun at the time, when I look back, I would not do it all over again. Like, I wouldn't. Because my kid, my Maxie, like, he didn't get to get the best of his mommy. Like, he didn't even see his mommy the first whole year of his life, pretty much. Because I was full-time going to school and almost full-time working. And I even worked on the weekends, too. So, like, my son didn't get the best of me. I didn't get the best of me. I struggled so much, and it was because I didn't listen. And so I'm hoping that this will give you a different perspective when you go in to read the Bible and you see what God is trying to keep you from, and why he's trying to protect you, because he knows everything. He's God. Like, he knows your life in full before you even live it. So he knows the mistakes that you're going to make. He knows the things that you're going to struggle with. And he gives you a Bible full of instructions to try to hope that it will stir your course a different way than what he can see. And so anyways, that's what I want you guys to know, that Christianity is not a religion, it's a relationship with God, and that his laws and his rules, they're not there to bind us, they're not there to imprison us, they're there to love us, they're there to protect us, they're there to set us up for a fruitful, beautiful, happy life, a life away from sin, a life away from evil, a life away from the pain that we can cause ourselves by our own bad actions. And so I just really just wanted to hop on here and kind of explain that to you. And to end this up, I kind of just want to tell you where I am, and just the simple things that God has taught me over time that have honestly impacted my life so much, and I couldn't be more grateful for all these things. One of those things is I dress really modestly. And so, like a lot of girls my age, butt cheeks hanging out, boobs hanging out. And honestly, like, I used to dress like that. Not extreme, but I would show cleavage and my shorts would be pretty short. Not quite butt cheek short, but, shorter than they should be. And God has just taught me that I am a treasure. And when Bruce looks at me, when my husband looks at me, I want him to see a woman that only he gets to see. So when he sees me in full, I don't want him to see a woman that everyone else has saw. Like, when he looks at my bottom, I don't want him to see a bottom that every other guy in our community has saw. Like, I want to be his hidden treasure. I want to be something that he looks at and knows that it is purely his, and that I've reserved it and I've saved it for his love and for his eyes only. And so that is one thing that I take very seriously, and that I love. I love that God has taught me that. Another thing is forgiveness. So like I told you, I've had a lot of pain in my life, and in a very short amount of time. I mean, like, for 6 years, it was just cram-packed with just pain after pain after pain, and just heartbreak and rock bottomness and just yuckiness in my life. And through all that, God has showed me so much grace. He showed me so much grace when I was just bitter and angry and mad and just a disgusting person. He showed me so much grace and so much forgiveness, and he blossomed me into a beautiful woman who could sit here and who could speak to other women and just share her story. And God just showed me grace, and he forgives me, and he gave me another chance to be someone better, to be someone more lovely. And because of the grace that he gave me, it's taught me to give that grace in return. So all those things that Bruce did to me and all that pain, that obviously I still feel in my heart, I can still love him, and I can still be married to him, and we can still have a beautiful family because God taught me grace, and he taught me how to forgive. Because if I would have followed my flesh and I would have left Bruce or divorced Bruce, I would not have Thayil. My Maxie would not have parents who are together and who love each other, and he'd have to live in separate homes, and I would have to work so hard to support a full income. And so God saved me from those things because he taught me grace and taught me forgiveness. And because of that, I've been set free from bondage. I've been set free from the bondage of bitterness and from anger and from depression because of this lesson, because of knowing true forgiveness and true grace. And as well as my parents, being able to forgive them and get past the pain and the hurt that I felt towards them. And so, guys, that is just some of the things. Like, God has blessed us financially. Our money has never ran out. There was a time where Bruce quit his job because the employers were so bad, and so he just quit. He did not want to do it anymore, and we both did not have jobs. Like, I think I was working part-time at the time, but literally I was making like $600 a month. Like, I was just just working a little part-time job. And Bruce got a job at a restaurant just part-time, and we made it on our bills completely. We even had a $500 medical bill because we had to take Bruce to the emergency room. And so our copay was $500. And he didn't have a full-time job. I didn't have a full-time job. We were paying bills, and God provided because we continued to tithe and we trusted him with our money, and he multiplied it, and we were able to live and support our family for the couple months that we did that part-time job until Bruce could find a new job. And so I'm telling you guys, God is faithful, and he can work in your life if you allow him. But you can't just say, okay, God, I'm ready for you. I give you my life. Now work your magic. No, you need to pursue him. You need to devote time to engage in his word, to do a Bible plan on the YouVersion Bible app, to listen to worship music and hear the lyrics and how powerful they are, and sing praise to God, and stop sinning. Do your best to stop sinning. Obviously, we're not perfect, and you're going to sin, but it's taking the action of not sinning intentionally, and then praying for forgiveness when you do see that you have sinned. And so, guys, just pursue him. Learn to pursue him. Learn to understand that Christianity is not a religion, it's a relationship. And believe in your heart that his laws are not there to bind you, but they are there to free you. They are there to protect you, to love you. And I promise you guys, God will be the best gift that you've ever given yourself in your life. I hope this helped, guys. See you next time.